Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Dungeons and Dragons players and dungeon masters alike. My name, like always, is still Mr. Tarask, and I am still here for you guys to tell you guys, well, to dig through an enormous pile of Dungeons and Dragons content and to show you guys what I think is the most amazing Dungeons and Dragons content for you to either download for free or pay a little bit of money for. Just the best stuff I get. And I have to tell you, I've been on holiday for 3 weeks. I've been in Scotland with my Volkswagen van, and in the meantime, I've got a pile of Dungeons and Dragons content sent to me because of my Twitter message where I tell people that they can always send their stuff for me to consider a review of their stuff, and the pile is just growing to enormous heights. And every now and then, only every now and then, I have to be very thorough when I do this. I see something that is really worth checking out for you guys, and I just want you guys to see. Like always, I do not get paid for this. I do not get anything in return for this. This is just the stuff I get for free sent to me to my YouTube email address, and I just pick out the really good stuff. And today I have something for. Sorry if I'm sweating, by the way, but Belgium is being hit by a heat stroke thingy. It is like 34 degrees Celsius right here in Belgium right now, and I'm sweating my ass off. So I'm sorry, I'm just sweating my ass off. And anyway, the thing I want to show you guys is a little module called A Hatch Opens. And I'm going to start off by the best thing. It is free. It is completely free, but I have to say, like always, it is actually a pay what you want type of deal, and the suggested price is $2. So if you download it, you can download it for free, no problem. The people who created it will probably be honored if you download their stuff and if you actually play it and like it. But if you would consider paying $1, $2, $3 to the creator so they can go back to so they can buy themselves a cup of coffee and go back to creating awesome stuff like this again. Please consider doing that because, well, it's well worth it. In this case, it's well worth it. And I'm talking about A Hatch Opens, which is a ridiculously funny and original little adventure for characters from level 7 to level 8. And I'm just going to read the small part that's here. This adventure puts the PCs at a disadvantage against a horde of goblins in a wizard's tower. Through trial and error, the goblins have gained mastery over the tower and all of its traps and defenses. By the end of the adventure, the PCs will have developed a grudging respect for the creatures they thought they've outgrown, and a nervous tick in response to the phrase, "A hatch opens." I have it open right here, and yes, I open my PDFs in Internet Explorer because I like things that are slow. I don't know why I do that. I still do that, but I still do that. Anyway, I'm not a computer expert. I'm a Dungeons and Dragons player. A Hatch Opens is... I like this one not only for its amazing artwork. I will get to that very soon. It's amazing writing. It's amazing feeling, but the writers, who are called Richard and Bard, by the way. Yes, there is a guy named Bard. He's the illustrator. It is written by Richard, but the illustrator is called Bard. They managed to make goblins cool enough for level 7 to level 9. I know goblins, just hear me out, just 1 second. Goblins are the types of creatures that you fight on level 1, 2, maybe 3, and then you have like a feeling you outgrow them and you don't really see them again. Maybe just to bash around a little bit, but this time they are back in a very cool way. And I'm just going to go from the top and let's see what happens and why I think this thing is so freaking good. First of all, your players will encounter, like it says here, they will encounter a clockwork creature, a bronze cube that has a face and has a brain and can talk. And they will encounter it hanging from a tree in a goblin net. And that's, of course, your players, if they have a little bit of empathy in them, they will go up to this creature and ask what happened. And, well, basically his wizard tower, where there used to be a wizard, has been overrun through trial and error by goblins. and he just got caught in this net trying to escape from this tower or whatever, and he wants to go back to this tower and presume its tasks. That's what it wants to do. It wants to presume its tasks, whatever those were. It's all in detail in this module, but that's too much detail for now. Anyway, he wants to go back, and the players, if they decide to help him, have a new quest and of course a new companion with them. uh, the game starts, of course, like always, with some basic explanation of whatever, and then of course you have like the cube. And the first thing that hit me, and not enough creators actually do this, and I like this very much. And there's this little section right here that says role playing the cube. This cube has well, there is this big box that gives you some proper tips on how to role playing this how to role play this cube, because well, it is very important for the story of this booklet that you role play this cube well, and the cube will become a very beloved companion. And if it should die, it will be a very unfortunate series of events. So role playing this cube is very important, and the creators really thought about this, and that's for me it's 10 points out of 10, because not a lot of third party creators do this, and kudos for that one to the creator. Then is actually where it starts getting funny, and this is the goblins have modified the tower so that tower now is one big series of crawling spaces. I mean, all the walls, all the ceilings, all the floors, everything is crawling space where only small creatures like goblins can crawl through. And the place is packed with hidden hatches. So there's everywhere there's hidden hatches, and your players are trying to get through this tower, and they keep bumping on the sentence said by the dungeon master, of course: a hatch opens. And every time they hear that sentence, something ridiculously funny or whatever is going to happen. So they're traveling through this tower, and they hear all kinds of giggles from inside the walls. Goblin noises and crawling from inside the walls and the ceilings and everywhere, and they're getting like really suspicious. And then a hatch opens, and some random stuff starts to happen. The first things that start to happen are the magical grenades, and I really love this kind of random stuff. The entire module, by the way, is all kinds of random funny stuff, where the goblins in one turn can open a hatch, look out with their funny little hats, throw a grenade, and close the hatch again. So the players don't really get a chance to respond unless they have a small creature in the party. It can always go after them through the crawling space, but that's very dangerous, because your small creature, your halfling for example, will get stuck down there all by itself. So that's not a good idea. Anyway, there's like eight types of different grenades, and it's so freaking funny. There's like the dark gray grenade, light blue grenade, rainbow grenade. You just roll for it, and whatever effect it has, well, it has. For example, there is a matte dark gray grenade, is a matte grenade. There's a light blue grenade, which is an anti-gravity grenade. If your players are hit by it, they will fall to the ceiling and take falling damage, and then after 1d10 rounds, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, after 1d10 rounds, they will fall back to the floor, and they will again take falling damage. So yeah, that should be funny. Then there is like the anti-magic grenade, a flashbang, there's a fear grenade, and there's even a the reddish brown grenade, which is a grenade that has the same effect as the attack from a rust monster. So level 7 through level 9 are really good levels to have those kinds of effects on your players. Your players cannot really act against this, so they really need to just try to dodge this kind of a situation, roll their saving throws, and they are really getting crazy from all the laughter and the hatches that are opening. It's like, they're just throwing grenades at them, and they're trying to make their way through the tower. That's of course not everything that happens. There's always also goblin patrols, and again, there's a lot of randomness to these goblin patrols. And again, kudos to the creators for making goblins interesting enough for level 7 to level 9. I believe that goblins were really created for this kind of dungeon. This kind of dungeon is what goblins are. Goblins are, for me, not the type of creatures you just encounter in an open field. No, you encounter them right here. One goblin is nothing for a level 7 PC, but when they do this kind of stuff, it gets really dangerous. For example, the goblin patrols are like the random goblins they can encounter, which also have some random stuff. For example, one has a helmet which it found, one has a poisoned dagger which it found somewhere, or one is a savage goblin, just basically is a goblin that hits way harder. So, savage. One goblin could have a sack of wasps that it will open in the middle of combat, and which could be very funny because wasps do not know who is their master and who's not. So the wasps could either way attack just the goblin or the players, which could be really really ridiculous. Or a goblin could have a random grenade like the ones coming out of the hatches. Or there is even one this goblin managed to find and consume a potion of flight. It has a flight speed of 60 feet, of course, which all kinds of crazy random stuff. But that's not everything. There's some information about short rest and long rest, which are pretty hard in this dungeon because there's crawling spaces everywhere. Short rests and long rests are really really hard, which makes it that much higher level of a dungeon. Then of course there is a map of the different types, the different levels, but also the although the goblins and their grenades and their attacks are the main threat. This tower used to be the tower of a magician. Sorry, a magician. The tower used to be a tower of a wizard, a mage, who of course set some traps of his own. So there is a lot of very cool traps and riddles, very good riddles by the way, in this dungeon that do not have anything to do with the goblins themselves. For example, there is this enchanted book swarm, which is very funny because your players will be attacked by an enchanted book swarm, which does some poison spray or ray of frost type deal. Of course, they can find some random books inside the same library where they're attacked. Then there is this one, which is also very cool. There's like 3 chests, treasure chests, and of course the dwarf in the picture wants to open the treasure chests, but what he doesn't know is that behind him, the stone wall is not really a stone wall, but it's just a big ass mimic that's going to try to kill the dwarf. So those kinds of stuff is also in here. You have this very cool dungeon that is trying to fuck with your players' minds, but you also trying to mess with your players' minds, but you also have these goblins that are crawling around and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like for example, one of my favorite things of this entire is a shield guardian, and my favorite thing is the horror ball. So you open the door and you're standing on a staircase, and 4 goblins push a ball, a gigantic ball that's just basic debris and stones and everything just tied together with barbed wire. And they just push it down the stairs, and you have to run or dodge or do whatever to get past it. And one goblin even gets wrapped up around the ball. While it pushes it, it gets stuck on the ball, and it just goes with the ball. So this goblin stuck to a ball is rolling towards you with barbed wire. They call it the ball of horror, and goblins are laughing, of course, their ass off because your player characters are getting a lot of damage, and goblins like that kind of stuff. That's basically the kind of stuff you can expect from this dungeon. There's not much more to it, except for a cool boss fight with what they call the Duchess, which is just the leader of the goblins. And then, of course, the end. I'm not going to spoil too much of it. There is some very cool character development in here with this cube. where it is a different kind of creature in the beginning, and it actually levels up not only with its stats but also with its knowledge and its way of speaking. Some very, very, very fine character development for this cube. I already like this cube, and I have not even yet role played it. So that's actually the adventure, the little module that you can just put anywhere in your world. And I know that I'm going to do it. In fact, it's on the top of my list. I'm going to just put this somewhere in my world, and my players are going to encounter it. Because your players will hear the word goblins, and they will laugh, and they will be like, oh, we can take a bunch of goblins, and they will go to that tower, and they will get smacked, they will get smacked in the face, they will get they will fall to the ceiling, they will start crawling through tiny spaces, they have to dodge a gigantic ball with barbed wire. There's some very good riddles in there. They will get lost every now and then. They will not have enough sleep because they keep getting interrupted by goblins. All that kind of stuff, all that ridiculousness that goblins are made up for is in this little adventure. I think this is just an amazing adventure. I did not yet run it with my players, but I am going to run it with my players. Again, go to the Dungeon Masters Guild. The link is in the description below. Click that link. Make sure to add like $1 or $2 to your price that you are willing to pay for this, because it is well worth it. Download it and have a heck of a lot of fun with it. And of course, in the description below, of course, in the comments below, let me know what you think of it once you read it or once you played it. Anyway, I hope your inspiration may guide you.